Good morning guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Filming this little bit on Friday afternoon. I'm about to pack up shop and go home for the weekend. It's been a strange week this week. The plan, or the goal, was to get a load of big jobs completed. A lot of amplifiers boxed up, shipped out the door, big repair jobs done, start some new repair jobs, get a load of behind the scenes stuff done, and it just hasn't happened that way. This happens sometimes when you run your own business. Plans go out the window for various different reasons, and so you always end up feeling a little bit deflated when you haven't had that big successful week that you think you were going to have. That's not to say I haven't done anything this week. I've done loads. I have done so much this week, but it's all been lots of little behind the scenes small jobs that all add up. Because you don't feel like you're making big strides, big progress, sometimes you just feel, yeah, did I actually get anything done this week? Even though I did. I have done so much compliance paperwork this week and my brain is fried. I've signed off so many new transformer designs for my new transformer winder. Very, very pleased with the way that's all going. And I've just made progress on lots of little things. So I apologise if there's not much in way of big exciting content in this particular video. I've tried to put together enough stuff to show you what I've been up to, but it's just been a slow, methodical week rather than hitting loads of big goals and targets. It's just running a business. It's just the way it is. It can't be exciting all of the time. Thankfully, we did get, and I showed this off to you in Wednesday's video, we got Ed's RK50 done. He's coming to collect that on tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. He's really excited by it. It looks great. It sounds great. It's such a cool custom build. I'm really pleased with it. And he will be too. So yeah, anyway, let's crack on with the video. A little bit annoyed with myself. I've got to build a couple more of the 1 watt heads we do, the JM 1 watt. Proved to be very popular, so I'm just doing the chassis work on the next couple of builds, and I can't find anywhere all of my drill markings for the chassis. I drew up a lovely little PDF with all of the measurements on where everything needs to go, and then I was going to make a marking template for the top. But I don't know where it's gone. I've looked through my Dropbox, I've looked through my iCloud, I've looked through everywhere. I can't even find the photos I took on my phone of where the markings need to be. So I've just had to spend most of the morning figuring it out again, which I really didn't have time for because I've got so much to do, but I need to get this done as well. That's upside down. I may as well explain to you how we do it. I print off a one-to-one board layout, but I do it in mirror so I can work on the top side of the chassis. And then I get all of my transformers and bits and pieces, and I can place everything on roughly where I want stuff to go and work out my spacings that way. Normally, marking a chassis out only takes me, well, 10 minutes at most if it's a complex chassis, right? It doesn't take long at all. But I've just had to work it all out again. Now, every cloud has a silver lining because I've taken this opportunity to make a slight circuit revision and therefore move some little things around and change things and update it and make improvements. So, it's not all bad news. It's just annoying that I can't find the paperwork. So I shall make sure to redocument all of this so I don't have to go through it again when I come to do the next batch. Look at that cloud. I've never seen a cloud like that before. That's crazy. Any idea what that is and why it looks like that? I know there's storms in the area, but oh, weird over there as well. What's going on? Still working on this twin reverb. Now, after last Wednesday's video, the longer I left the amp, the noisier it got. So we've still got some issues and problems in the board. And I have gone through and done all of the anode resistors, the plate resistors in the preamp, removed all of the wax, the old dirty wax that was in the preamp. Sorry, you can't see that yet. But now I'm focusing on the phase inverter, which, as is the case with this amp, the more you look into it and the closer you get, the worse it becomes. So I'm stripping all of this out, taking photos as I go, and then I can completely clean this entire section of board and rebuild it. I was hoping I wouldn't have to. I was really hoping that I wouldn't have to, but that's kind of the next step where we are. Lots of old wax in here, lots of poor previous repair work. So we're just getting there. And it's one of those jobs which I think could have been prevented a long time ago. But I'm trying to be fair here. I'm trying to be fair because the knowledge that we've learned over the years of what's best for these amps in terms of what they need now, what they're going to need in the future, preventative maintenance, all that sort of stuff, has changed and evolved, and we've learned new things and discovered, well, actually, what was deemed correct 10, 15, 20 years ago. Well, you know, this amp still would have been, 20 years ago, this amp was still, almost 30 years old. What we've learned now is things are different. Things, our strategies for maintaining these amps has improved. The processes and repair techniques has improved. So it's difficult to say the old tech did it wrong, although you can still point out poor solder, like there, it's just tack soldered in place, right? When at the time, it's entirely possible that the tech was doing what was considered correct and normal, Whereas now we have a different attitude towards it. So that's your negative feedback resistor. So I always try and be fair unless there's an obvious mistake that was made, because as I said, things change over time. We don't repair Blues Juniors the way we did, when they were relatively new on the market. We've learned over time what's best for them. So let's get this cap out of the way as well. And this resistor, because it's looking quite toasty. So again, it's one of those, hold that thought, oh my God. Look who it is. It's Tremolo, live on camera. What are you up to, Trem? Where's she going? God, bet you weren't expecting that, were you? See, she rarely ventures up this far in the summer, but obviously now it's autumn. The pigs have nearly all gone from the bottom field, so there's less rodents in the field as well, so less good hunting for her, And Bigsby was up this way a couple of times as well. I put him on camera. Oh, the old farm life, eh? Right, what am I doing? I'm taking this resistor out, and right, so let's just get that wire out of the way. That's a grid wire. Right, so what I'm going to do is, this 100k is going to need doing as well, isn't it? Get you out of the way. Right, so I'm going to clear all these eyelets out of solder. Thoroughly clean the board. So you've got to welt the max. So you can use a heat... Welt the max? Melt the wax. Clean all it off, get rid of any old flux and stuff like that, and then rebuild that entire section with all new bits and pieces. And I've taken loads of photos on my phone. Of course, I've got the video footage as well to help me remember where stuff goes. The customer did say to me that if this board does end up needing replacing, he's happy for that to happen. But problem with that is that he would also have to pay for the time I've spent up to that point anyway. Whereas if we'd just gone for a board replacement from the beginning, he wouldn't obviously be paying for my attempts to repair this board and service it as it currently stands. So there's always that crossover point where you have to say, well, I've done some things with it and I don't think it's going to improve any further. Therefore, a replacement board would be the best course of action. Versus, you know, just ploughing time and money into the board itself to try and get it to where its ultimate best or final version. So there's always that balance, and you know, you can't willy-nilly spend all of your customers' money to go in this thing. At some point, you will have to say, here's the crossover point. It's now worth me just making up a new board and installing it. I don't think that'll be the case with this. You never know. Things might happen. This is why I'm still ploughing on with this. It's not the worst board I've ever seen from a 70s Fender. Not the worst wax board. It's not the best either. So it's, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. But because this amp doesn't have any major problems, it's got lots of little problems. You're spending a lot of time in each section, and of course that time and cost therefore all adds up. So we will, I'm going to do this section here, do all the other bits that I said I'd do anyway, then I'm going to fire it back up on the bench and monitor and measure any improvements that have or have not been made. Quick progress update on this next PR6 build for Coda. We are making progress on this particular build. So I've started wiring in the output transformer, the sockets. I put the pots in, got my bus bar in, got my interconnects done. Made up the bias board last night. The main board just needs populating, but that's going to sit in like so. It's actually looking all right. Not far off being able to sit down and actually do the main wiring on this particular build, but we are getting there. We are making good progress. After this, I've got two PR18s for Coda, plus 3 more for retail sales. So I've got quite a few. I'm going to be building a lot of these in short succession, along with all your usual Americanas, Ainsley list of signatures, all that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, I just want to show you a quick update on this particular brown panel PR6. Okay, twin reverb back up on the test bench. The phase inverter has all been rebuilt. I haven't replaced any of the capacitors. I've done the resistors though, and obviously cleaned the board of all the old wax off, new solder joints in, all that kind of stuff. We'll just do another progress check. Now, before we go any further, apologies. There is a man somewhere on the farm with a chainsaw making one hell of a noise. So I do apologise if that comes across in the video. Nothing I can do about that. I've also got the heating on, so there is a low level background hum. Again, you'll just have to deal with it. I've got a microphone up against the speaker, so we'll do our standard checks and things before. The amp's been on now for about 20-25 minutes, so it's nicely warmed up. And before, when we tested, well, the last time we did a progress check, do you remember we had some noise when we turned the master volume? Now, I'm interested in this now because now I've cleaned all this section up. Do we have an improvement on the master volume? Especially when we got to around 7 or 8 on the dial, there was a rustling or a crackling. So should we start with that? And I'll boost the audio as well by 12 dB, which means it's going to sound worse to you than it actually is in real life. We're just making the microphones more sensitive so you can hear everything in more detail It's not going to be that loud as noticeable in real life. Just bear that in mind. Well, that is a significant improvement. Let's just bring this channel up. So we'll put the volume, treble, middle, and bass all on 10. So you are going to get some hiss now. Okay, so that crackling has definitely disappeared. We still get more noise as we open the tap up fully, as expected. But the rustling and crackling noise has definitely gone now. Now this is proof that going through and cleaning up the board, cleaning up the joints, removing the old wax and all those, you know, conductive paths that appear with a tiny bit of DC leakage makes all of the difference. So we are moving this thing in the right direction. I haven't done this cap yet, but it has, my replacements have finally come into stock, so I'll get that swapped out. But we now have proof that this is moving in the right direction. We'll try this channel. Oh, that one's noisy. So we've still got a scratchy volume on the second channel. So we need to look into that. Here's the tone stack here. So we need to investigate around that area while we're getting some. I've already cleaned the pots, by the way, so it's probably some DC that's getting onto the pot, and if it's not the board itself, then we might be looking at most likely the treble cap on that channel. Let's check this one out. Tiny bit of scratchiness there, but nowhere near as bad as this channel. Okay, meter to chassis. Confirm the meter zero is out. It does. Okay, so up on the master volume pot up here, got 38, roughly 38. It's bouncing around a little bit, millivolts. Ideally, we shouldn't have any. This is DC. Pot's on 0, so the output of the pot is on 0. But the input to the pot, we've got 13, 38, 39 millivolts. So let's come back to the treble cap over here, and look, there's our millivolts. One side of the cap should be very high voltage, 234 volts, and the other side, there you go, there's roughly the 3940 milliamps that we're seeing. So as I've already cleaned this whole section up, we're most likely looking at a leaky cap there. Let's just check the mid cap. 2 millivolts, and the base cap almost 60 millivolts there. We'll do the treble cap first, come back and remeasure. Okay, capacitor swapped out. Here it is. It's a 250 picofarad, 1 kilovolt cap. I've put one in 220 picofarad because that's the modern value, 2 kilovolt cap because that's what I stock. The pot is quieter, but there's still a tiny bit of scratch there. So again, let's redo our tests. 0 our meter. Up on the pot now, we were about 38, 39, weren't we? Hovering around 9 or 10 millivolts on there. So it has dropped. If we go to our cap, we had about 235 one side, the other side. Okay, so it's definitely dropped, but there's still a little bit there. Let's check that base cap, the one that we definitely had a strange reading on. Okay, so there's still some leakage there. So maybe it's time we swap this cap out. See if we can get that down to as close to 0 as possible, and that should remove the last of the scratchiness in that pot. So it's probably 100 nanofarad, which I've got. So we'll stick 100 nanofarad into that position, come back, redo that test, rinse and repeat. So before I replace that cap, I haven't actually gone ahead and done it because I was just looking and I hadn't quite cleared up the last remaining parts of the wax at the top end of the board up here on that tone stack. So I've just gone and removed that. Just thought I'd double check, and I'll show you the results. Up on the pot, there you go, about 1 millivolt. And the scratchiness is gone. So there we go. So proof that the treble cap was leaking slightly, but we still had some conductive paths on the board due to some tiny remnants of wax. And you can see how much actually came off once I heated it all back up again and cleaned it, some flux as well. So that's that channel done. I'm still going to heat soak it and test it. But now we've got to focus on this channel, which still has a tiny bit of scratchiness as well. So we'll keep going with it. We'll keep improving. But what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is it's really important not to just shotgun everything. It's make one change, go back, measure, make another change, go back, measure. I know it takes longer, but it really helps with your own diagnostic process and understanding of what's going on inside the amp. Because if we weren't measuring and we weren't checking, we wouldn't know at what point any changes that we did make, whether they helped or not, we wouldn't have a proper understanding and an overall picture of that. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But I'm going to keep going with this. I've still got other jobs that I need to do on it, but we are finally, I think the end is in sight now with this amp. I think the end is in sight. Not there yet, but we're getting somewhere. Ollie's here, look. He's just popped in. We've done a couple of bits and pieces. He's got a Mesa California Tweed head, and we've just swapped the speaker in his extension cab for that, trying some different things out. So what was in it? It was Jensen.
It was the Blackbird, the 40.
Oh, it's up there on the bench. Yeah.
Which is the one that comes in the combo, I think, of the Cali Tweed.
Yeah.
It's a really great speaker. I love it, but I wanted to try it in my PR18.
Yeah. So we're going to stick that in his Rift.
Yeah.
And then into the Cali Tweed, we've put the... it's an unusual choice, but it works really well. It's the Celestion G1265.
That's it.
We've just finished play testing it. Sorry we didn't get any footage, but it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're going to take that out, and you might gig it tonight. You might try it out.
Yeah, we're on a run for 5 shows, so obviously I'm picking the VIBROLUX up.
Yeah.
So I've got that and the Cali Tweed, and I'll probably just, obviously I'll always have a backup amp, so I have 2, and then I can just, depending on, as the nights go, I can switch between them.
Yeah. Amazing. So the VIBROLUX Reverb, the drip edge, black line, the one that I've just repaired for you, that's the one that had the missing solder joint. Mm-hmm. We sorted the reverb out as well. This has got the 2 Alessandro 10-inch speakers in. And I was saying on the channel, I go back and forth on these speakers. I like the 10s more than the 12s, and I think you're the same.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll hear the 12s in multiples, and I go, yeah, it's not bad. That's quite nice, actually. Mm. But I don't know. I keep changing my mind
every
on them.
time I've heard the 10, so I had a one of the old 68 Princeton, custom Princetons before, and that's the first time I heard the 10-inch one of them, and I loved it.
Right.
Which is why when I got that, the original speakers were just tired. I still got them, but they didn't sound great, especially at volume on a gig.
Yeah.
So I knew they were my first choice. As soon as I put those in there, I was just so happy. Done. So then I subsequently bought a couple that tried the 12s. I think it was in a Car Sportsman and something else. I can't remember. But I was underwhelmed by the 12, yeah. And it could be a number of things. Like you say, maybe I'd never heard them in multiples. But the 10s are just weren't really... And they're nice and light as well.
So I think in my 200 quid Super Reverb, I'm going to put two of those 10s mixed with something else. He does the Alnico version as well.
Yeah, the 50. I've not heard that. They're expensive. Slightly different flavour, I think.
Yeah.
But I've not heard them. No.
So I still haven't decided what's going in that cab. If you get them wrong, you can be miles away from where the amp needs to be.
I've done that. I did that with the Raging Cajun before.
Yes.
I bought a Raging Cajun and it was so loud and so wrong for what I wanted.
Yeah.
Not to say they're bad speakers, but yeah, just in that situation.
Right. So whenever Ainsley comes, he always shows off his latest guitar. So what have we got here then?
Ah, yes. This is a Novo Mirus J.
Mirus J.
Yes, I did custom order this one because we had a gig in Nebraska in July.
Is that where he is?
They're in Nashville,
right.
But it can be shipped. It was shipped to the festival whilst I was there.
That's cool.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I just custom spec'd it. I loved the guys at Novo are great. I already had one before, but it was nice to just get choose everything on it. Chunky neck, ebony board. I have since swapped the pickups. Just the P90s are so noisy. They tend to be okay in the UK, but to take it around as your number one guitar, the risk of the P90s and flying with it was just too much, really. So these are some humbuckers from Cat's Whisker pickups, I believe. Cat's Whisker? Yeah, somewhere in the UK.
So they're mini humbuckers?
Well, then they're not. They sound definitely more like humbuckers. They're just in a P90 enclosure. Because I did have mini humbuckers in a Novo before, and I didn't really like them that much.
Yeah.
They were a lot thinner than this. These definitely sound like, if anything, these could be a touch brighter.
Yeah.
So they're doing the job at the moment. It's fun to fiddle around and switch stuff. But
so 3-position toggle.
Yep.
Master volume, master tone.
Exactly.
Quite simple controls.
Easy.
Whammy bar.
Yeah, and these wang bars, they're so good, these wang bars. The lightning bolt shape. When they first came out with this revised model, I think everyone went, I'm not sure. Just that instant thing. But then it grew on me, and then I played one with it, and it just feels so good. Something to do with however that, I don't know what it's doing, but the mastery already felt great. But that, yeah.
Oh, so mastery bridge.
Mastery bridge, yeah. And trem is the Novo's own one, and then this is a Gibson scale length, nut width, ebony board.
So is that a flame maple neck?
Yeah.
Is it baked?
Binding. Yeah, they're all roasted maple necks from Novo. And it's the chunky profile, so it feels like a nice big Les Paul.
Yeah. It was like a late 50s shape or
exactly,
or
and it's
mid-50s.
But it's super. I mean, it's like £6, 3 ounces or something. I was saying to you earlier, it's literally like a 335 crossed with a Jazzmaster. That's how I see it, anyway.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
In terms of it looks like the offset shape of a Jazzmaster, isn't it? But
so should we hear it then?
Yeah.
You want to play us out? Give us some tunes.
Yeah, let's play.
Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. As always, please give this video a thumbs up. All of your comments and questions down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We are getting really close to 7,000 subscribers now. Hit the notification bell so you know if I post any new videos. If you're feeling super generous, why not buy a t-shirt or join the channel? And I will catch you all at the next one.